warm welcome to everyone. Good morning. How are we doing? Are we good? Can I see some, thumbs up? Yes, perfect. Good energy to start the day with. And thank you so much for coming here and welcome to the Data Science Festival. We're really excited to bring you to our Game On Data Science Festival today. And thank you so much for taking the time, especially turning up very early as well at 9 and join our talk today. So first of all, welcome. We ask that you switch off your phone so later we don't hear some ringtones, the sounds going around. A schedule of talks in the session is in your booklet. Who can show me your booklet? Is everyone having it? This booklet here is everything you need for your day in terms of the schedule of the sessions. And if you need any help, then you can grab any of us who has the volunteer T-shirt here, okay? And where can you find, lovely, volunteer over there, Irina. Where can you find some water? Can anybody point that to me, please, in the room. Where can everybody? Lovely, thank you so much. To my right-hand side here is where you can find some free water. And then we have the bar down there where you can have free coffee and tea as well. Where can you find free popcorn? How can you claim your free popcorn? How? Yes, taking the booklet, and at the back you'll be able to get free popcorn, enter in competition, a lot more information as well. So yes, lovely. Please have a look at your booklet. It contains a lot of useful information for this day. To get started with, just to introduce myself, my name is Maya. I am currently a data and AI technical trainer at Microsoft. And we have in the room as well our lovely volunteers, Irina, who's there waving at you. And we have a tech team at the back, Harry and Abu. So thank you so much for being here and supporting us. Well, the DSF is a celebration of all things data. We aim to connect the tech community and foster the sharing of knowledge, inspiration, and ideas. Just a reminder that most of the talk will be recorded, and you'll be able to find it in... Anybody have a guesses? Where can you find all the recording session? Yes, lovely. We all know that. Yes, YouTube channel and also from our DSF website as well. So check it out if you miss out any of the sessions from other rooms and for yourself to explore more topics of the day as well. So if the full room is full, then please make your way to another room. We can have a lot of people later on during the day. This event is free to attend and built by the community. And without the help of our sponsors, we couldn't make this event the success it is. So thank you, first of all, to Data Idols, Key, Stat6, dunnhumby, Zerv, Streambase, Ovo, Checkout.com, National Grid, Man Group, Founders 500, and finally, CodeNote, who have provided us with such a great venue that you are experiencing it now. And thank you again for attending DSF Game On. And without further ado, I will be introducing our first speaker, Amardeep. And she's at the back in her lovely pink hoodie over there. She's a co-founder and the head of data at Amarti, the UK-based data consultancy delivering technical solutions. She helps businesses turn technical challenges into competitive advantages and is known for leading smooth, impactful projects that foster long-term client relationships. At Amarti, she champions inclusivity, equity, and freedom of thought in tech. So that's it about myself. And the warm welcome to Amardeep, everybody. Can we have a round of applause? Amazing. Okay, I'm gonna...
Thank you. Do I need this, or do I need this, or do I need this? Up to me. This. Sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm Amardeep. Maya, thank you for making the room alive. That was amazing. I really appreciate that. Yes, I'm Amardeep, co-founder and head of data at Amarti, which is a software engineering consultancy, which I'll tell you a little bit about in a second. So just very quickly, it's not a sales pitch, but just who are we, because we're a little bit still unknown. So we started in 2020. We did not know it was going to be a pandemic. So we call that first year a bit of an amnesty year. We didn't do anything, nothing. And I made really awful content on LinkedIn to try and strengthen relationships. It was awful. I was sat in an Airbnb in London. I was in between places. I had no kitchen, so I survived on pot noodles. I can't eat a pot noodle ever again. And the other co-founders, Ben and James, they were like, why don't you just, get some content on LinkedIn? So if you go into my LinkedIn and you go really far back and you look at that content, oof, awful. But anyway, since then, we've really done well. We work with lots of different organisations like Compare the Market. OVO Energy is actually one of our clients as well. Tide Bank, The Very Group, Dr. Martens. And we've just done really well. We do everything in data. Anything from your kind of basics in data right into data science. So that's a little bit about the company and who I am. So I heard someone saying something earlier on. I wasn't earwigging, but I actually started as a teacher. I think it was you, wasn't it? Yeah. I started as a teacher. I was an economics teacher for about 8 years, and then really loved it, loved the kids, loved everything, but I felt like my soul was slowly being taken from me, and I wasn't giving it, I wasn't selling it, I wasn't negotiating it, so I was like, I have to leave. Left and fell into technology. Was working, obviously you can hear this beautiful Yorkshire accent. I'm from Yorkshire, from Leeds. And I did lots of different positions. I was a painter, I was a waitress, I was a data analyst. I just did anything at all. And then somebody was like, I think you could be a BA. I didn't know what a BA was, so I Googled it, and I was like, I reckon I could do that. I reckon I can do that. Got rejected. And then somebody took a punt on me, and they were like, it was Sky. But I don't think it was Sky. It was the guy. It was my then who became kind of a lifelong career coach for me. He was like, you've got all the passion. I think you're a quick learner. I'll teach you how to be a BA. I was like, cool. But when I got in, because of the skill set that I had built in teaching and my career in teaching, which was quite good, a very good career, I did a bit of everything. So I learned how to code, became a delivery manager, became a QA, did everything I can possibly do. So I got lots of breadth of experience, and then found myself quite comfortable in the delivery side, not project management, but in the delivery and sort of helping the team move forward. Fast forward, worked for a consultancy, moved to London, loved it and hated it at the same time, like most people that move to London. Drank a lot. London likes to drink, so I did all of that. And then eventually moved back to Leeds. And then, in 2020, opened the consultancy. And then it's quite, not big, but it's good in London, and I wanted to smash the north. So I've gone up north, lived back in Leeds, and I'm trying to build out the organisation over there. So that's who I am. Happy to answer any questions afterwards, especially if anybody's thinking about changing their career. I'm quite happy to talk to you afterwards, because I think it's a big step, and it can be really, really good. So what I'll be talking about today. So, God, I get a bit fed up of hearing the word, hearing AI now, like I think most people, because AI is incredible, but so everybody wants AI, don't they? And a lot of people don't even know what AI is. But the reality check is, there's loads of spreadsheets still with that. Loads. And sometimes the difference might be that they might have missed an S out to make it different. So, I don't know, are we there yet? Let's see. Hands up if you've got some sort of rogue data in your organisation somewhere. Don't be shy and don't lie. There we go. Same for us internally, yeah? So, we've all been promised the AI magic, or you've been asked to do the AI magic. So both ways. But the real question is, are we ready for it? Are our organisations ready for it? So I want to talk a little bit about why data quality, culture, and structure matter more than the hype. I'm not saying that the hype's not going to play a big part to it. And I think actually, in order to enable AI and your AI strategy that's being built out faster than, I don't know, getting equal pay for people, I don't know. I think there's a lot of work to be done beforehand, and a lot of the exec teams and the person that's like, I want AI everywhere, they don't truly understand. And I think that's where a lot of the people in this room bring the knowledge to your organisations, because you are the specialists. You know the data in your organisations better than anybody. And that's what's really important. So please feel free to butt in with questions as well. I think it brings the content to life. You don't need an LLM, you need a lookup table that actually works. So, I find it really interesting when somebody non-technical says, we need an LLM. And I'll always go, I love playing a bit dumb. I love it. And I'm like, what does that stand for? What's an LLM? What does it stand for? And they go, an LLM? And I'm like, yeah, What does it mean? How? Then they don't know. So, are we really ready for it? There will be plenty of organisations where their data is so beautiful that if you work in the data space, you want to work for them because their data, they trust the data, they rely on the data, and the data is organised. But generally speaking, the vast majority of organisations, even some of the organisations that you think are in a good state because they've got your data, they're not. They're a mess. They're a massive mess. So then you have failed AI initiatives. So I think this is the most common one, and I think this top one, a retail company with 15 definitions of customer. That is the worst one. Somebody once said to me, a very, very, very important person, one of my clients said to me, I said, well, they were trying to put a persona to the customer. And the whole time, we had a whole day workshop, awful, whole day workshop doing this, people from all around the organisation, and the most important person in the room at the end of the workshop was like, this whole time, this whole day, I thought the customer was us. And I was like, oh. Tell me a little bit more about where your thoughts are. And he said, well, I'm the one that uses the data. We're the ones that use the data. And I was like, fair point. And he was like, but it seems like the insights team think the customer is the people that buy the products. And I was like, yeah, oh my God. But also, it's the end of the day. Say that at the beginning, butt in, you're very important, butt in, like when they're having these great conversations about what customer looks like and blah, 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 blah. So, 15 definitions of customer. And also, they are. And this is why I'm saying, some of the organisations you think, oh, they must be smashing, I want to work there. Do you? And then this is one that I came across, and I thought it was it's such a small example of something so dangerous. We all know now that vast majority of the pop-up boxes that come up are a chatbot, and you might be asking them some really basic, I want to change my address, something like that, whatever. But if it's based on outdated FAQs, I'm not really an FAQ person, I just see what happens. Oh, I thought they had parking. Say that to my husband all the time, but I never check anything. But I was working with like an important but small organisation. When an organisation is popular, what I'm referring to is that it's a household name. I call it popular. And then, so this was not a popular organisation, but it was an important organisation. And because they needed to run their service 24 hours a day, they relied on the chatbots, and quite often people would come for information. But they were getting loads of subject access requests every month. It was like the hundreds and hundreds of subjects, and they didn't understand why. When we did a bit of digging, it's because something so basic, the FAQs it was outdated information. So the whole thing fell down, and they were like, oh, well, we can just update that. And I was like, I know, but that's also data, and that also needs updating. So building, I'll just let people come in. And I think you all know this. So building AI on bad data, it doesn't matter how beautiful your AI is, it's shit. It's still shit. You're just getting your information quicker or in a better way, but it's still shit information. So I think that's really, really important. Sorry, I have got a right potty mouth, but I'm also Yorkshire, so I'm not going to apologise for it. So let's move on. So what does stuck look like? So I'm going to just invite the audience to tell me something. So what are some of the signs you might think? And I don't know who's in this room. You could be completely non-technical, you could be like the most technical person. It doesn't really matter. But what are some of the signs that your data is stuck in the past? I'm going to pick on people because I used to be a teacher, so I'm very confident to be like, you tell me something. So you better start putting your hands up. Oh, I get to pick. Some of the signs that your data is stuck in the past. Inconsistent data. Inconsistent data. Anyone else? Yes.
If you've got data on a spreadsheet, you've got too much data for a spreadsheet.
Yeah, definitely.
You're still trying to churn out things, but it's on Excel and like.
And then just to follow through on that, who's got the most up-to-date version of that spreadsheet as well? So yeah, okay, perfect. Since you're all a bit shy and it's the morning, I'll tell you. some of the reasons. So, the silo syndrome. Everybody's got data on their own, and for some reason, teams don't want to share the data, which is so weird. And I think that comes down to something outside of data and technical altogether. That means the culture of your organisation don't share goals, and they don't have a collaboration like embedded in the culture of the organisation. It's wild to me that I might have some data that is definitely going to help that team, but I'm so this over it, and then that stems loads of psychology, doesn't it? Like my own insecurities about my job and all of that. But generally, it's a culture thing, and if it's allowed, then it's just going to keep happening. So the silo syndrome. File name nightmares. So a lot of the organisations we work with end up having to report externally, and they've got lots of regulations. We work in finance and insurance as well, so lots of regulations. And there was this one really important upload that needed to be done for month-end financials. I don't know, I don't work in finance, but it needed to be done. But it was still a manual upload because they were a little bit scared of changing that particular one, which is fine, because that's also fear of change. That's probably going to come up somewhere in my presentation. And it was a CSV file upload. And 1 month it crashed. And the panic set out, the panic. It became a P1 because it was a very important thing that needs to go external. Fine, I accept that. But the panic that set in, and it was like a Wednesday, so it wasn't Friday. It was like everyone's in the office, it's not a problem, and everybody was going wild and nobody. And then a junior engineer, wonderful girl, she was like, does the spelling need to be right when you upload a CSV? And so I was there, but I wasn't in the war room with them. So this is the delivery manager telling me. And the delivery manager went, what do you mean? She went, well, when they upload a CSV, could I just upload it now? Like, why don't you just give me it and I'll upload it? But does the spelling need to be right? And they went, yeah, why? And she went, well, I just checked, but the last few months have been coming up and it's like, I don't know, .1, .2, .3, but this says it's got .2 digits. And the computer's not letting it do it. She was a junior grad, like, didn't know anything. And that was the main reason. So, file name nightmares. And they generally come from which team? Finance. We all know that. Sorry if there's any finance people in here, but fucking finance love that old school shit. They just can't get away from it. And because of that, Excel is still king. So, oh my God, that dashboard, I've got this spreadsheet. And for some reason, the C-suite still want a spreadsheet. It's wild to me. And they can't get away from, I can't even with Excel. And then you've got metric mayhem as well. So, like with customer, different versions of customer, revenue means different things. And now where this becomes really important to the data team, because ultimately, whilst I obviously hate finance, they generally run the organisation. There might be an analyst or anyone in finance that makes a fuss, and now the whole data team's working on a Saturday, and it's because ultimately that's money, and that's why people run businesses, to make money. Let's not shy away from that. Everything is to do with money. So, metric mayhem, and that's getting consistency back in and understanding what revenue actually means. And you're always behind. Reports take ages because, well, you're behind and you don't know where any of your data is, you don't know what you're doing, so you're always chasing fucking month-end report, and it's a cycle, and it's a toxic cycle. It's like the worst partner you've ever experienced, and I did that for 2 years, and it'd get to like near the first of the month, and I'd be like, oh my God, here we go again, and it was rinse, repeat, because you're always behind, but you're too scared to change anything. I don't know what that is, but it's okay. And there's no data ownership, which I find really interesting, because if you go back to number one, where it's silo syndrome and it's my data and this is all mine, but then, so then you're the ownership, can you do the data catalogue, blah, blah, blah. No, I don't own the data, but it's mine, you can't have it, but I don't own the data. I don't really mind it, it's just, I guess, if it affects the camera or anything, but I don't care, unless anyone else does care. Sounds like my stomach. So So yeah, data ownership is obviously another reason why your data might be stuck in the past. And then data cleaning as a lifestyle. So you need some new analysis, you need something this, you need something that, and then what you first do is you start cleaning your data and you get it ready. And that builds back into that toxic cycle of you're always behind. So you're stuck in this awful situation of chasing yourself. You got low data trust. Anybody in any organisations where they say, oh, we just don't trust the data? What the fuck do you mean you don't trust the data? That's wild, isn't it? I think that's wild. And you know, sometimes really important people say it. I've heard a director of data say it, I just don't trust the data. I'm like, well, what do you do? My Excel sheet. So, you know, a lot of people don't trust, they have low data trust, and it's a massive thing. And also, in order to get data trust, apart from all the technical stuff that needs to happen, there's also organisation and cultural change that needs to happen. And you need to start, you know, one of the main things is imagine like a good legacy system that's been working for absolutely ages, and then they want to move. The typical one that's happened loads over the last like sort of 5, 6, 7 years is I want to migrate to Snowflake. So we're going to dump either you're going to clean the data or not, but quite often people just dump the data into Snowflake, don't they? They just don't care about anything. They just dump it there, and then they want everything else to the whole report migration part of the process that needs to take place. What they say is, I want my report to look exactly the same, even if there's mistakes in it. And that's the most dangerous thing. Because if we've been reporting like that, then that's how we've been reporting, and I don't want to change that. And that is one of the most difficult things to do for them to go away from, well, I know that it's broken, I don't care that it's broken, we're all agreed that it's broken, we don't talk about it's broken, but I don't want it fixed. So, and that happens quite a lot, because once you without going into like too much technical detail, but the way a report is run over here versus it's been put into a new platform and maybe it's collecting it and cleaning it better, it's most likely not going to be exactly the same. And trying to tell somebody in a finance team that it's going to be better data, you're now telling them that their data is bad. So it's a really difficult one, but low data trust is really, really dangerous. AI pilots that go nowhere. You've all been tasked, there's a new team that's been put together, and you've made this in theory model, and then we'll pick it up next quarter. We'll pick it up next quarter. We'll pick it up, now it's out of date. And then I think finally, data people speak a foreign language. So what I've always found, and even to this day actually, I really encourage all my teams. My team is, like, they're incredible. They're so intelligent, and they're just brilliant minds. I've got a team of brilliant, brilliant, brilliant minds. And I always encourage them that the worst thing that you can do is speak in a way that someone else doesn't understand. And I don't know if that's my teaching background, but it becomes non-inclusive actually. So sometimes we as data people, we might start talking in data terms and the other person's nodding, they don't know what you're talking about. They're going to walk away from the conversation not understanding anything, and you're in the same place. So that's what stuck looks like. And of course, there's loads more reasons why you could be stuck, but that's just some of them. So some of the root causes, so your legacy systems, which I think these needed to retire when dial-up did, I really do. Like, you can have a legacy system, just update it, and then you can still call it legacy if you want to call it, but update it. Because it causes so many issues. It causes so many issues, a legacy system. Organisational silos, so we've talked about that. So not just that people are doing this with their data, but also organisationally, people are not speaking. So there's one organisation we're working with right now, and they really, really want to do a federated, like data mesh. They wanted to have like a nice, amazing federated model. Cool, fine, cool. And I was like, okay, can you just talk to me about your organisational structure? Like in data, just give me that old school hierarchy. And they put it all down. I was like, okay, brilliant. So we know how many engineers we've got and stuff like that. And then somebody in marketing was like, but I've got 3 engineers. And I was like, okay, I've got 3 data engineers and they own all the data. And that team did not know that there's 3 data engineers that have been hired by marketing over there, working brilliantly on their own. They're line reported into marketing. And then there's a data platform team over here. And then we looked further into the organisation, and every area of the organisation had at least 1 data engineer, because they were like, we don't know how to get to the data platform team. They constantly reject us. They've got no product ownership or anything, so we don't know how to even get work in, so we just hire them ourselves, get the budget and hire them, and they start working in collaboration, which I think is good, but also bad. And then data hygiene, obviously garbage in, AI disappointment out. It's just crap, isn't it? Ownership, or their lack of, and a lack of a shared vocabulary. So go back to that customer example. Customer can be said in so many different ways and mean so many different things. And sometimes you might have internal customers and external customers, but ultimately you really need to have some shared vocabulary. But has anybody got in their organisation a data catalogue that actually works? Anyone? Are you being shy, or? It's awful, that, isn't it? I know I don't know any organisations that do either. Sorry?
Policy and procedures, yes. Reality, no.
Yeah, policy everywhere, yeah. 100, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I find that really interesting because one of the organisations we're working with now, they've just put in Monte Carlo. Does everybody know what Monte Carlo is? Anyone know what it is? Yeah. Tell us what it is. Who said yeah?
Well, the model to assess the cost of, well, in finance that's going to be derivatives, but like you can assess anything with Monte Carlo simulations.
Yeah. I've just absolutely annihilated finance. I'm so sorry. You just said in finance. Fucking hell, sorry. Yeah, so that's what finance would do it with it, but otherwise, yeah.
You will do mathematics as well. You
Yeah.
can assess the amount of, I don't know, like you can do in, like the companies that are doing oil, they use that for their oil simulations to find like how much oil do we have in the ground.
And how do they do that? Because, not how they actually do that, because then I'd just go and do that and be a millionaire. More so, they would need what in their data, right? And they need the correct kind of data. Right, okay, so...
You need to calibrate the stuff for the stuff that you're going to be using it for.
So stripping it back from one of the end users, which is finance or whichever team you are, it's the data catalogue. And it's a really... there's loads on the market. Let's just say it's a good one. I don't really care which data catalogue people use. But nobody wants to keep it updated because nobody wants to do data ownership and no one gives a shit. And actually, this is my little bit of data and this is what I think a customer is and that's what that... So... The lack of shared vocabulary doesn't help. Now, that example is how powerful, once it's used correctly, the rest of your organisation can utilise your data and be like, oh my God, I can pull out all these insights because my data team have got it into such a good place. And then you've got the shiny object syndrome where it's like, oh, get an LLM, get this. No. So lots of root cause. And also this last one often will come from, and we experience this in all organisations, in all different teams. You don't have to be technical to experience this. Where the CMO or the CFO or the CEO, whoever it is, somebody with some influence, just says something. And now everything's gone to shit and we're doing that thing. They call it the JFDIs, don't they? Have you heard of that, JFDI? Just fucking do it. You've heard, it's a really common phrase. I only learned that, I swear a lot, I only heard that when I moved into technology. The JFDIs is just get it done, whatever it is. Shit, look at the time, hold on. Okay, so data maturity versus AI readiness. Data maturity does not mean we've got some fancy tools. You can have all the fancy tools in the world. It's not gonna get you into a good place. Focus on the data. It starts with clear data ownership, and you should drive the data ownership. Shared definitions, agreed and shared definitions, I think that should say. Metadata and lineage. Have you ever been somewhere where you think, okay, let me trace it back, and then you're given like a lineage sheet that starts there and ends there, and you're like, yeah, just leave it alone, just leave it alone. And empowered teams, a lot of teams where there's no trust, again, organisationally, they're not empowered. I'll never forget that young girl who sat there and said, just check the spelling. And I was like, something so simple that everybody had overlooked, but she was not really being told to do anything. So she just was like, well, I'll just start looking around myself. And if she had not done that, they wouldn't have found the problem. So then I've stolen this. This is not mine. But I saw this online, Maslow's data hierarchy of needs, and I thought it was quite good and quite interesting. Does everybody know what the Maslow's hierarchy of needs are? Yeah, okay. So I found a data version of it, and I thought it was really good, and I thought it was really interesting. So data ingestion at the bottom, data transformation, data exploration, data science, making data a priority within the business. And that's where we want to get to. So we want to be a data-led organisation. And ultimately, and I always go back to this because I think truths are really important, every single business wants to make money. Fact. They might want to do some good at the same time, but without money, without cash, nothing works. So if you can get to a point where an organisation is quite openly saying, we're a data-first company, then you're in a really good sweet spot. So steps to shift the culture. Audit where you are. Do data maturity assessments. Do them. Encourage them. Clean the pipes. Simplify your data structures. Delete all the junk. Just get rid of it. I don't even want to go into data governance. I could do 15,000 hours on data governance. Upskill the humans. Data literacy over they're a wizard at this, they're a wizard at that. Create cross-functional data ownership models like data meshes where you can and when you're ready. You don't just walk in and go, right, we're going to have a federated model. No. Make sure you're ready for it. And start small. Don't AI everything. Pilot with, I've just realised there's not a capital there. It's going to really bother me. Pilot with value in mind. Yeah? And remember, I rushed through the last 3 slides, that the future is AI, but the future is also human. And actually, it's the analysts, the engineers, the product owners, the countless people within an organisation that actually powers the AI. That's what happens. And we're all trying to make data a little bit less painful and a little bit more powerful. And I think the shift in general in data and people not being too scared of it and not kind of 3 people sat in an office over there being forced to do data. I think culturally and socially we have shifted and people are excited about data and what we can do with our data and make better business decisions and lower costs. But this kind of AI hype that's arrived and people are not ready. People will call into Amarti all the time and say, we want to have... This is what they'll say. And I don't know if anybody does anybody work in consultancy work or has done? Okay, all right, love this. We need 3 engineers. Okay, what's the problem? We need 3 engineers. Well, what's the problem? We need 3 engineers. Okay, we're going to build a bot. We're going to build a chat bot. Okay, what's the problem you're trying to solve? And I always have to say when people get in touch with Amarti, I'm like, well, I don't speak to them initially, but I always get everyone, make sure you say what. Most people don't know what their problems are. That's the facts. So let's have a chat. Let's not worry about how many people you think you need or what type of skill set you think you need. What's the problem that you're trying to solve? Once we understand the problem and validate that actually it is a problem, then we can think about solutions. And who are the people that need to do the solutions? Is it me? Absolutely not. It's my engineers. They need to do the solutions. They'll always like, what do you think we should do? And I'm like, I don't know, ask my engineers. I ain't got that mindset they have. So let's give AI something good to work with, and that's where we come in play, because we create and make it. When you have that data, own the data like it's yours. Make it nice, make it palatable, make it easy to understand. Make sure you got some basic things like a primary key. Do all these different things so that if somebody wants to understand revenue from last quarter versus Japan's last quarter revenue, they can do it and they can access it quickly and it's correct and they trust it. If somebody needs a last minute report or the external reporting went to shit and now the auditors are coming in, they can just get it all quite easily. They can draw insights off of it. They're happy with it. It excites them. I know it's data, but we do get excited over data. And then we go from there. We all probably use AI in our personal lives in some way. One of the things I use AI for is I've got a little boy, believe it or not. Can't believe it. And he's not very well. He's poorly. So I I'd use AI to track all his symptoms. I'd use it for symptom management. Not because I can't track the symptoms, because I want you to tell me some insights on the symptoms. Is he deteriorating? Has something happened? Do I need to call the doctor? And it does it, but only because I give it good data. If I was just like, oh, my baby's a bit sleepy today, AI is going to be like, cool, good for you. You must have got some sleep. I'm like, no, it's not good if he's sleepy. So these kind of things. And yeah, so let's give AI something good to work with, and that's me. Thank you very much.
We have some time for questions.
Okay.
5 minutes. So
5 minutes.
anybody else?
Fill my time. Someone ask a question. It's the
Any
worst.
questions?
It's worse when no one asks a question. Someone asks something, anything. Yes.
One of the problems I find in data is how do you show return on investment? So when you're trying to do a new project and
Like ROI.
Yeah, ROI.
Yeah.
How do you show that?
So like obviously my background is delivery. So if I was doing, when you do, whether it's waterfall or agile, it doesn't really matter. But when you're doing your goals and your outcomes of what's going to happen in your organisation, ultimately you have to get money signed off first as a business case, don't you? And then you have to put some goals. And what I do is always trace the data work back to one of the goals, which will ultimately either increase profit or decrease costs. And I force it in because ultimately it can. So I don't say, oh, we're doing a bit of technical debt or clean up. I don't say that. I'd look at the goals, and sometimes the goals can be really random. Like if we just take something really easy, like the Nike website, we want to sell more shoes. What I'll do is say, well, if they've got the right information, and the data's clean, they can make decisions quicker. If they can make decisions quicker, they can get it to market quicker, which ultimately means more profit. I always trace it right back to the goals. But it is difficult. I know a lot of technical teams struggle with like, how do I show ROI? But you have to piggyback onto someone else's goal of ROI. That's how I try and do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. We have one more question.
Thank you for the interesting talk. I think most of the organizations have some data issue here and there, and that's the place where normally we start with data solution. I think the building platform or building data architecture to do something, that hard part is the easier part compared to the data cultural thing. Data transformation, the cultural side of things, the software part is normally the harder. And
I
then
agree.
How do you normally persuade the key stakeholder, like the executive team, the senior people, to invest into that part as well?
So I think one of the key things with any organisation, in any department, by the way, is as good as your leadership in your area. So if you've got a CTO or a CD or whatever it is, or just a director of engineering or head of engineering, if they're not aligned with what needs to happen in data, unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. I'll just be completely honest. And I think that person probably needs to move on so they can get more fulfilled in life. And somebody that's really, really committed to the function and it could be anything, marketing, finance, it could be anywhere. You only get ahead like that. It's really difficult. I used this phrase this morning. When there's like your brother or your sister or someone's got really naughty kids, and you think, just tell your kids to stop messing around. And you think, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and do it. And you can't parent in a moment of a child's life, right? So you can't change the culture as a person on your own of this machine. You can't do it. You need the parent, the director of engineering or of data or whoever, they need to truly believe it as well. That's what shifts mindset. So I'd love to tell you an answer, but unfortunately, it's really difficult otherwise.
Yeah, it's challenging, isn't it?
Yeah,
Normally,
really hard.
most of the team, the technical team, want to deal with the technical part because it's easier part, and you can see the result where you're gonna go, compared to the cultural side of it. It's very complex.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you, everybody, so much. Have a wonderful day.
You.
Thank you.